Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters on BET. We are on season 2, episode 13. We're back from the the what? The mid season premiere. So let's just jump right into it, okay? All right, so we are still in the midst of this money exchange situation from last time where Andy and all the girls showed up at the bank in order to meet Aaron and Gary at the bank, give him his money back so he can go on about his life and just let it be what it's gonna be. And so, he gives this compelling speech about being so sorry about everything, and he apologizes. He wishes things didn't have to end this way. Blah blah blah. Whoop de whoop. Andy is now in a state of I don't think I can do this without Gary. Girl, save save your judgment. Save your judgment, Jelly. Okay. All right. So, moving right along, we're still at the bank, and Andy's basically having a little breakdown, saying, she's not sure she's gonna have the strength to really leave Gary alone. And Danny, Danny, just in pure comical Danny fashion, she's more interested in the fact of, you gave this man $250,000 back. What's the problem? Like, that's why I'm still stuck. Me too, Danny, because, sir, what money? What money? Andy who? That is no longer my name, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have nothing for you. Goodbye. So, but Danny does give some sensible, that word? She does give some points in the scene that makes sense. Let's say that. Because she also reminds Andy of, yeah, you love him, you're in love, whatever, whatnot. But do not forget also all the bullcrap that he's put you through. As it relates to Gary and his shenanigans. And she tells her, the thing that people normally tell, it's not really love that you're in, because love doesn't treat you this way, that way, whatever, whatnot. But instead of, taking the sense that Danny is making right now, she wants to remind Danny of her indiscretions and her failed relationships as well. And Karen reminds her, that they all have stories, which is fine. But my thing is that wasn't the point of the scene. The point was, okay, I know that you don't think you can be without Gary, but let me remind you, which is what I would assume that our friends should do. Like, okay, you head over heels, you still in a place where you like this person. Let me kind of bring you back to reality and remind you, yeah, it's cool or whatever, but forgive but don't forget, basically. So now everybody's heading to work. And I put a little note here in my notes that, yeah, everybody's heading back to work, but child, after all of that had just taken place at the bank, I was gonna be calling out. I wasn't going to work because there was too much stuff going on. I wasn't gonna be able to focus on my particular job, especially if I was Andy and she went back to work. Child, you just lost the love of your life and you going back to work or going to work. Not me, not interested. Couldn't be me. Moving right along. All right, so we joined Fatima at the office, and Hayden, or whatever his name is, Hallelujah, whatever his name is, he is giving her receipts from the construction job that the little kind of buyback the bot program I think he is also a part of. And basically he just came up with any excuse to stop by her office and just be in her face. And he wants to compliment her after indirectly basically trying to control her life by way of threatening Zach to kick him out of the program. For some reason, he thinks that they need to start over. He thinks that, he's basically he thinks that he's eliminated Zach as competition, so he wants to start over. And it's giving real stalker vibes. It's definitely giving me Fatal Attraction after y'all only hooked up one time, but she must have, really threw the smackdown on you. Anyway, so and he goes on to tell Fatima, I think we started off wrong. Let's just restart things. I think that I'm the best guy for you. You just don't realize how wonderful of a catch that I am. As if he is some sort of prize to anybody at this particular point. But okay, Hayden, whatever you say, bro. He leaves, whatever, she dismisses him, and she calls Zach. She asks him, did Hayden come by the job site? He acts like he don't want to tell her. She figures out that Hayden threaten him. And Zach is more interested in getting his life off the ground. He's not really interested in being drama at this particular point in his life, which, okay, I understand that as well. And she, he finally tells her, the threats that Hayden had made, and she tells him, don't worry about it. You're not going to get kicked off the project. I'm going to handle it. Just don't worry about it. We're good. Just come on to the house and get off work and get some rest. So they agree. They laugh about it a little bit. She says she's going to straighten it out. And you can best believe that Fatima is gonna, get it done, because she's been getting it done all season. So that should not be a worry of yours, Zach. But a little tidbit that I have for this particular segment of the show. No, actually, it should have been a note for last episode, but I'm gonna say it here now. Zach, I needed you to stand up for yourself, because yes, Hayden, you might be on this construction project, but at the beginning and ending of the day, y'all were both two men. So you could not have talked to me like that. You couldn't have threatened me. Oh, well, I'm going to get you out the project. Okay, you kick me out the project, I'm going to kick your face in. We're good. Just something. You would have had to do something to stand up for yourself. And not just let this man come in and intimidate you, but, just saying. It's not like you're incapable. You done beat Paris up. You done jumped on the brother. He did, or he got hurt. So, you're no stranger to defending yourself, or not defending yourself, just getting into shit. So why not in this instance? Is what I'm saying. All right, so Andy's back at the office, and she sees Miss Irene, which is Paris' grandma, and wonders why she's there. The boss called him in to do some extra cleaning, blah, blah, blah. Andy's got an attitude and is being real short with Miss Irene, and I, for one, am not a fan of it. Miss Irene didn't do nothing to you, baby. Just because you have an issue with Paris, because Paris has an issue with you still being tied with Gary, don't got nothing to do with Miss Irene, so don't do her like that. But she has an attitude, and Miss Irene tells her, be careful. I just wanted to let you know that Paris is here in the building, and I don't want y'all to run into each other, especially after last time. And, we learn here in this moment that Miss Irene knows what happened, because as she was patching up his, bruises and scrapes and blood from getting into the altercation with Gary, that, she made him tell her, what's going on. And so now she knows what's happening. So, Andy's like, I'm sorry about the situation. And she tells Andy, don't be sorry, be clear. Which I would take as, don't apologize to me, just figure your shit out. You know what I mean? Finish one situation before you start another, or, you're convoluting things. Figure it out. Don't be sorry, just clear it up. Figure out your life, baby. Fix your life. That's what I took from that. So Andy's, asking her. Well, Andy tells Mrs. Irene, she's trying, but she's in love. She asks Mrs. Irene, her advice, and asks her, have you ever been in love? What was the outcome? Blah, blah, blah. And, and Mrs. Irene is like, I understand, I've been in love a time or two or whatever. But, what she also goes on to tell Andy is, yeah, you can love somebody and not need them. Which was a word in itself, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, there's tons of people. There's lots of people. Love them to death. But I don't need them. And by need, I mean their energy, their selfishness, their whatever comes with them. So I guess that was just her little bit of advice to Andy. Okay, yeah, you love him, cool, but you don't need what comes along with being with Gary, basically. So that was a whole little sermon right there in itself. Moving right along. So Karen, who is Karen? Karen gets to work, and Pam hands her the credit card bill. It seems like there's a lot of charges that were made by who she presumes to be Zach. $5,900, almost $6,000 to be exact. She calls him. He ignores her calls, which is within reason. You are no longer together, so ignoring your calls is not out of the ordinary at this stage of the game. All right, so he ignores her calls, and then he goes one step further to even block him. And Zach tells Danny that Zach, and so we go over, and Zach's at work, and Danny's like, well, who's that calling you? He don't want to tell him who. And And then he ends up telling her, yeah, it's your girl, but I blocked her. Whatever, I don't want to talk about her. And Danny is for some reason still championing Karen and Zach getting back together. And he tells her, like, we brought too much drama to each other's lives, and I'm not interested. Zach, smartest thing you've said all season, baby. Don't do it. Don't even worry about it. Go on with your life. You and Fatima go off and be great and beautiful together and all that great stuff. And sometimes some people just don't work out. Another valid point, Zach. I'm glad you're making sense this season. And he goes on to tell Danny that Fatima makes him feel like, he can be a better version of himself. No woman has ever talked to him in such an uplifting manner and believed in him, and all these wonderful things that we have seen Fatima do and help Zach to feel better about, to accomplish, and all that great stuff. But for some reason, Danny can't believe that he's serious, and is still wanting him and Karen back together, and basically trying to make him jealous by saying Karen is seeing Aaron every night. But Zach is unmoved. He's unwavering. He don't even care. And then Danny goes on to bet him $200 that they're not over with and they'll be back together. And he is like, nah, I'm good. Just run me my money because the bet is on, because I'm really good. So at the end of this episode, further down this episode, we will definitely be able to solidify the fact that, yeah, it's a wrap. It's gonna go ahead and be a wrap between Karen and Zach. Which, thank you, Jesus, because that was a lot. Excuse me. All right, moving right along. Back at the salon, Karen is just infuriated, and she cannot believe that Zach is ignoring her calls, and she thinks he did it out of spite, and all this other good stuff. Mind you, Karen, the man just almost got stabbed to death on your behalf, saving your life. You still gave him hope afterwards that y'all would potentially get back together. So there was no animosity at that stage of the game. So what would be your logic in assuming that it was him? Now, minus Pam saying that she called the credit card company, or somebody called the credit card company and said it was Zach, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe they're assuming it's Zach because the charges are on her business credit card, which, if it's your business credit card, also, why does your boyfriend have your business credit card? Also, Karen. So I'm just willing to assume that it wasn't Zach, and maybe if he did have the card, it got lost in like all his shit being thrown out or him being from pillar to post, and he didn't do it. I'm not willing to believe that he did do it. So yeah. And on the other side of the coin, if he did do it, is that not worth the peace of mind? Not saying that if he did it, just let it go scot-free. What I'm saying is sometimes the closure wouldn't be worth, wouldn't justify the ends, wouldn't justify the means. So, give an example. I ain't gonna give that time. I ain't gonna tell that girl business. Let me just say it like this. So if you had broken off, with the ex, and he left a little bit of charges on your credit card or whatever, and it was a really bad breakup, would you be interested in going to rectify that bill, even though you ended on bad terms, just to say you got it squared away, because it would bring all that stuff back into your life, or just charge it to the game? That's my question for Karen or whoever else would like to answer it. I'd just be, willing to charge it to the game, because some things ain't even worth the fight. Like, it's just gonna be the cost of learning this lesson, is what I'm saying, basically. All right, so back at the bank, I don't remember this new dude's name. Let's just call him Pretty Ricky for now. Pretty Ricky is asking Marcy some questions about accounting or whatever, and Marcy's being short with him. He don't got time. He don't want to be bothered. And he tells me, ask Sabrina. And he thinks that Sabrina is now avoiding him because she likes him. He knows women like him, blah, blah, blah. And he asks Marcy, like, don't you know women like you? And somehow he finally gets the revelation that Marcy is gay, as if he wouldn't have noticed that any other way. And he goes on to also be ignorant. Because he tells Maurice that, oh, I wouldn't assume that you're gay. You're too big to be gay, not in age, but in stature. Or you're too big to be gay. You're too basically you built like a man. Like why you gay? Asked him if he played football, if he played sports, and we know Maurice. Maurice is gonna tell him, no. I didn't play basketball. I played with people's balls. And so and then Maurice goes on to tell him, you are ignorant, much like your friend Alonzo. That's the energy you're giving me. And Pretty Rick is like, nah, I'm not like that. I've just never been around gay people. I've always played sports. And Maurice goes on to further educate him, like they everywhere. They're in the locker rooms. They're on the field. They're in the they're everywhere in all sports. In the church choir. They're also accountants like you and I. They work at the bank. They're everywhere. Correct. I definitely applaud Maurice for giving him that little bit of education, because you operate under the assumption, because you played sports your whole life, that you never come across a gay person, which you may have, but at the very end of the day, it's not your business. So what you did or didn't know is of no consequence to Maurice, basically. All right, so the dude goes to Sabrina's office to ask for help, and whatever she's asking her for, she says she's shown him twice already, and he has effectively performed this skill without assistance. So what's really going on? Why is you in here and what you want? And he wants to know once more. All right, cool. While they're in there talking, Aaron shows up at the bank to give Maurice's key back. I'm assuming because he's went ahead and made a copy, because they are now roommates. And Maurice notices that he has on his perfume. Aaron has on Maurice's perfume, and he also seemed confused that Maurice recognized that it was his, because he didn't realize he was putting it on. All very strange to me. Whatever. But he sees Sabrina in the office with Pretty Ricky, and he's concerned about how close they are to each other. And so Maurice is trying to make him a little jealous, because now he's questioning Maurice and he wants answers. So Maurice is spilling the tea and telling him with his own messy self, talking about they like each other. So now Kevin is mad. He got an attitude and he done stormed out. Child, who knows? Who cares? I ain't got time. I got time for them two either. So when the Aaron, is that his name? Calvin. I've been calling that man here. Aaron is Karen's guy. His name's Calvin. When Calvin and when Calvin and Sabrina get it figured out or be done, that's gonna also be great for me, because it's getting painful at this point. All right. So pause for the calls. All right. So at the airport, Karen has taken it upon herself to go down to this man's job and look for him in order to rectify this alleged credit card fraud that he's committed. She insists that Danny called him on her phone, and now that Danny has his location on the plane that he's currently cleaning, they go and find him. All right, so once on said plane, Karen confronts him about the credit card charges. He is completely flabbergasted and he has no idea what she's talking about. So he's telling her, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do it. Like, trying to reason with her, trying to give a logic. Like, I didn't do it. I don't know what happened. I don't even know what you're talking about. She's not listening to reason, so she's threatening him, like, I'm going to the police. I'm gonna trump your, not trump, but I'm gonna bring up charges saying you committed fraud. Whatever. So she's not listening to reason, but she just keeps going on and on and on, and her real, feelings are kind of spewing out at this point. And now he don't want to see her happy, and all of these other assumptions that she's making, and he's just still flabbergasted, like, I didn't make the charges. So now, she hates the day that she ever met him. And okay, so at this point, he's tired of trying to reason, and now I'm going to match your energy. And tells her, you know what? I should have never saved your life. Like, I should have let dude kill your goddamn ass, because it's too much. I can't reason with you. You just going ham, you doing a lot. And so Karen now has taken it to a level that is too far. If this is the line for too far, she's over here. Baby girl is over there. So what she tells him is, all right, cool, whatever. We going back and forth. We exchanging words. She tells him that all of your shit is outside. Everything that you left at my apartment in my closet when you left is outside. Well, we learned that everything that was left in that closet is actually not his. It is things that belong to his grandfather, someone he cared deeply and emotionally about, and those were the only things that he had left of his grandfather. And she also goes further to slap the guy and walk off. So his only material ties to his grandfather that he, heavily valued, probably some of his most valuable possessions, she sat out on the curb somewhere and left them. And so at this point, I wanted to smack Karen. I wanted to smack her wig to the back of her neck. Because why? Hmm? Hmm? Tell me why. Why was that necessary? Why was that necessary? If you knew that that was that man's grandfather's stuff, even if it wasn't his grandfather's stuff, if it was his things, y'all been in and out of this shit for a very long time. So at some point he was going to get it. Why did you put that man shit outside? Let's talk, Ebony. Miss Ebony that plays Karen, because I'm now upset. I'm upset in my spirit, man. Moving right along. So, once Karen walks away, Darren steps in. Not Darren, Danny. Danny steps in after he left, and after Zach walks away, Danny's talking to Karen, and she's like, "Are you 100% sure? Like, are you?" Again, she's not listening. She's being unreasonable. She's not listening. And said, "Are you sure?" Because I'm willing. I'm just this. I just don't believe that it was him. And so Cam's going all off. You ain't never on my back. You ain't never had my back. Fuck you. Da, 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 da. So she walks off. Still doing a whole lot at this point. So, Karen, you should seek help, girl, because you done lost it. All right. So moving right along. Andy's phone is ringing at the job, and it's just ringing and ringing and ringing. She's ignoring it. Fatima comes in and says, "Hey, it's Gary. He's called 17 times. What you want me to tell him?" And she's like, "Don't tell him nothing." So now, they didn't close the door. Now they're about to have a sister girl conversation because Andy needs it at this point. And so Andy asks her, what's your honest opinion on the situation? And Fatima tells her, "Don't hold it against me. If you really want me to give you the real, I'm gonna speak freely." And so she said, it's effed up. The whole situation is messed up. The Andy's worked too hard to allow Gary to kind of put her back in his place and to have run so much game on her, as it relates to him being married and all the other lies and whatnot that Gary has put her through. And she tells Fatima that her and Gary, Fatima also tells Andy that she needs to get Gary together, and she needs to get the people at the office together, because now they're looking at her sideways. Exactly. You need to set Gary straight, cut Gary loose, and you also need to straighten everybody else at the office, because okay, yes, it was brought to your job place, your place of work, your job place, brought to your place of work, but now that it's been rectified and you are now, if I'm not mistaken, you are a partner, you are actually one of the highest ranking members in that place of business. Despite what's going on in my personal life, don't play with me, basically. So you need to go ahead and put smackdown on that as well. All right, so she asked Fatima, have you ever been in love before? And Fatima tells her yes, but she put everything into it, and the man told her 3 weeks before the wedding that he was getting married. Child, 3 weeks before his wedding, he told the girl she was getting married. So she tells her, that's why I keep a few faithfuls in the rotation, and that's just how it's gonna be until I feel like it shouldn't be that way no more. There's no problem with it. That's just how it's gonna go. And she tells Andy that she's never gonna be that girl again, at least not for someone that it's not worth it. And so Andy says that it makes sense, why she dates so haphazardly and never commits to someone, and throwing a little shade in there. And Andy tells Fatima that she don't want to be like that, and Fatima reminds her that She hasn't really given up on love, but she's just living her life at this current moment. Girl, don't judge me because you ain't got it all together, Miss Andy. You ain't got time. All right, so Andy says, what if Gary was everything that she ever needed? Like, she don't want to pass up on it. She don't want to give up on it so soon because what if he's everything she ever wanted? And Fatima reminds her, yeah, everything you ever wanted, including married. Like, he's also married. And she just keeps saying, like, he's perfect for her, whatever, child, whoop-de-doo. And Fatima does admit that, Zach is testing her pimp game, though, because, she likes him a whole lot, and they have a little laugh about it, and Andy gets a little laugh for the first time that day, gets a little smile. So that ended on a good note. All right, so back at the bank. Danny calls Sabrina and tells her about the new Karen Zach saga, and their plans are to confront her or talk to her about it at the dinner that they planned at Sabrina's house later that evening. So Danny got off the phone with her, and two, for lack of a better term, two rednecks show up at her counter, and they tell her that she is the black. Well, I can still cuss because I'm not monetized yet, because child, I ain't there yet. Tells her that she's a black bitch, and she needs to stay away from their brother being Cowboy, and that there's gonna be hell to pay. There's gonna be hell to pay if she keeps seeing their brother, because they don't want their pure bloodline ruined by this little black girl with this big old booty. They ain't said that, but that's was my interpretation. And that she don't need to see him ever again, or there's gonna be a problem. And one of the brothers, he had the N word right on the tip of his tongue, but he didn't say it. I'm not gonna call you that, but you know what you is. And so that ends episode 13. But in the flashes of episode 14, we see that Danny, she got something to say back, because who you talking to? Oh, okay. So she's definitely gonna talk back and tell them to kick rocks with no shoes on. So that's gonna be interesting. Also in the next episode, Sabrina's gonna get the results of the drug test, and I'm gonna tell you now, they came back perfectly clean, and somebody been lying, basically lying on Calvin. Well, I hope. I don't know. Hopefully. So yeah, that was it. Trying to get back into the groove of the swing of things, so this might be a little bit longer. Please forgive me. Drop your comments down in the bar, your opinion, whatever, however that goes. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.